The Lee County Board of Commission will now come to order. We'll have an invocation by Mr. Hoyle, followed by a pledge of allegiance. If you would stand and join us, please.
Bow our heads. Almighty God, our gracious Heavenly Father, we seek and ask for your continued blessings upon the people of our county. We ask that you continue to lead us and that you strengthen those in positions of authority in our county to enable them to govern wisely and well, so that peace, justice, and fellowship shall be the hallmark of their periods of service. Have compassion upon those in peril because of the forces of nature or the actions of men. Grant thy peace to those that mourn. These things we ask our Father in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This evening, we have one subject matter that we will take before ourselves following a public hearing regarding the renovating and improving the existing facilities and construction and equipment of the addition to the Lee County High School. In order to sort of bring this into focus, we're going to ask Mr. Crumpton to lead off by describing or giving a brief summary of the resolution or the information that will lead to the resolution that we will be considering tonight. So let me call on Mr. Crumpton at this time.
It's not very brief, but
Okay.
I'll do my best to get through it quickly. Today's public hearing is for the sole purpose of considering borrowing an additional $2,697,688 for the Lee County High School construction and renovation project. The Board of Commissioners has already approved using BB&T for the financing of the project, and it is proposed to place the additional borrowing with them if approved. $19,980,000 in financing has already been approved by the board. Once again, we are here to consider and take public comment on the request by the Board of Education to borrow the additional amount of money. The debt service details were handed out at Monday's meeting, and here's a summary of the proposed borrowing. It is proposed that the additional funds that we borrow come from the Recovery Zone Economic Development Bond allocation of $12 million that we are eligible to borrow. The county has already committed to issuing $9,302,312 of these bonds. The remaining amount of $2,697,688 is now eligible to borrow. It is proposed that the additional borrowing be paid back over a period of 15 years. The additional principal and interest payments will total $3,452,482. Interest will consist of $754,794 of this total. Combined with the original borrowing, this would bring the total borrow to $22,677,688, with the total payback equaling $26,053,557 over the 15 years. Interest makes up $3,375,869 of the payback. The net interest rate on the additional borrowing is 3.52%, and it is proposed that the additional quarter-cent sales tax that will start on July 1st be used to pay back this borrowing. Want to explain real quick how much money is actually available to the Lee County Board of Education to award with the financing options. If the additional money is approved today, we have to subtract the architect fee of $1,153,000, the contingency fund, which we hold, or will hold, $400,000. We're holding back $100,000 for asbestos removal, and the county's cost to issue the debt and attorney's fees, we're holding $400,000. So if the additional amount is approved, the total available to award is in the neighborhood of $20,500,000. If it is not approved today, the total that could be approved by the Board of Education is $17,900,000. Mr. Chairman, that's my summary, and be happy to answer any questions for the board.
All right. The floor is open for questions from the board of Mr. Crumpton.
Yes, I have.
This is for the board, sir. Your moment will come. This is a questions from the Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Noel. Are there any questions of Mr. Crumpton? Hearing none, we will move to the public hearing, and I will now declare that we are in a public hearing. And let me read the sort of ground rules for that, and I think it'll be pretty straightforward. We wish to hear from those who support this proposition, and we wish to hear from those who oppose it. Each speaker will be given a maximum, and I emphasize maximum, of 3 minutes. Mr. Hoyle will keep the time, and he will raise his hand when those 3 minutes have expired. If you can take less time than that, that is just wonderful. We're not trying to extend this. We want to hear directly your focused statement about pro or con relative to this resolution. We will not exceed 30 minutes for either side, and so if we have 10 speakers at 3 minutes each, that will fit very nicely for one side or the other, just as an example. Where one speaker can speak for several people, we encourage that. If it's a group that represents and would even wish to stand with that speaker, one speaker might be able to speak for all, but that's a choice you need to make. The question will be whether you are for or against the resolution as it has been described. We are not wishing to hear extraneous things, and we are not a platform for candidates who might be here. We want you to stay right on the beam and tell us that you're for or that you are opposed and why, as concisely as possible. And we will thank you for that, for your clarity, for your brevity, and for your goodwill always. Now, we have, it appears, 14 speakers for and one speaker against. And I think that since we have the one speaker against, and that is our guest, Mr. Noel, we'll ask you if you would wish to come forward at this time and speak to us, sir, stating your name and address, and this applies to all speakers, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? My name is Russell Noel. I live in Lee County, North Carolina. I will read my comments to save some time. I'd like to preface everything by saying I'm not here today to ask questions. I've already asked enough of both this board and the Board of Education. I'm here to make statements. I strongly oppose this proposed increase in spending. In fact, I In fact, you have already authorized too much for this project. What started out to be a 4-stage pay-as-you-go project has ballooned immensely. You have also already eroded the financial solvency of Lee County. This increase will only put us, the taxpayers, further down into toilet bowl. The numerous questions I asked in the past have received no replies from this board and nothing but vague answers from the Board of Education. I believe this is indicative of the mushroom policy. You, the Board of Commissioners, have failed miserably in requiring strict accountability by the Board of Education for past funds you have allocated to them for normal maintenance and preventive maintenance of this school. It appears to me you've done the same things by your own recent admission as you did with the EDC. Due to your track record on sound spending practice, this old long in the tooth hunting dog smells another real estate tax increase. In conclusion, election day won't come soon enough for my visit to my polling location relative to casting my votes for members of both boards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noel.
For the record, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, we'll move to speakers who have indicated that they wish to speak for this proposition. And the first speaker is Mr. Dr. Lynn Smith.
I am Lynn Smith. My address is 1502 Gormley Circle here at Sanford. And I want to start by thanking you for the opportunity to stand here and express my opinion on the resolution and the additional funds that are being requested. And I hope that at the conclusion of this, we can convince you that this is a good expense for the taxpayer. We are not wasting the taxpayers' money. To begin, I'm sure there's some lingering questions concerning the overrun. Obviously, the general contractor's bid was higher than the $19.5 million that were requested. My personal opinion is that it has to do with the complexity of the project and all the unpredictables that are underground over there. And if I were a contractor, I'd probably put that in my planning as well. There are others. Certainly, an improving economy has been mentioned, and I hope that's true. And certainly, increased costs for materials has been listed, and they're probably all true. However, the additional funding of the $2.6 million to this project is essential to the very integrity of this project. And by that I mean the academic core that's going to be the centerpiece of that campus. That is the existing library building, the existing administration building, the new administration building, and the new library building. They'll all be connected by corridors that are going to be friendly. Students won't even have to go outdoors to pass. Security is going to be dramatically improved. Without the funding, we're not going to provide the increased space that we need for learning. We're not going to eliminate the trailers, and we're not going to plan for increased growth, which we all know is coming. In addition, if funded, this centerpiece is going to put a front door on this school for the very first time. It's never had a front door, and we need a front door. In addition, we're going to close all the back doors, which speaks to the security problem that we know exists there. The additional funding of our students, for our students, is to provide a safe, inviting environment in which they can go to school. And let's face it, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Chet Mann.
Thank you, Board of Commissioners. I appreciate your past support and work for the passage of the core cent sales tax this past fall. And more than ever, I urge you to stay the course and complete the renovations and construction at Lee Senior High School. The people overwhelmingly voted for the passage of this core cent sales tax. 2-1 was the vote. Not finishing it while you have the opportunity and the means to do so could result in an unfinished project for many years to come. In uncertain times like these, we need your strong and your wise leadership to hold firm and follow through. The easy way out is to say no. It takes little planning and a little effort to do that. Without great vision, we shall surely see another unfulfilled project. As the economy recovers, we'll look back and say, we should have finished the job, or will we look back and say, we were really smart to complete the project? I urge you to use that kind of judgment and foresight and have the good vision to finish the job. And please don't be swayed by those who oppose everything but usually have no real solutions to offer to you as an alternative. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. David Nestor.
David Nestor, I'm at 403 North Steel Street. Been a resident, and I am for the completion of the high school. Been a resident of Sanford since February 2002. Before that, I had the, I call it a luxury of subscribing to the Sanford Herald for a couple years previous to that before I moved out here. One consistent theme that always seems to keep cropping up was the high school and the quality of the high school. Currently, I have 2 children that are in the high school, one that graduates this year, one that graduates next year. This remodel will not affect them. But listening to them come home and talk about conditions, I heard somebody mention a toilet earlier. The ones that don't work are the ones that overflow. It's time, guys. It is time. Let's get it done. Let's do it right. And let's not just do a half-baked job on the school. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Ray.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Bill Ray, live at 2200 Cape Jasmine Drive, and a lot of y'all participated in Lee County Vision last week. I hope the rest of you have looked at it, but the overwhelming point from that survey was schools was number one. And my son played football, basketball, and baseball for Lee Senior this year. And after going to some of the schools that we played at, we are way behind in our facilities. So I'm asking that you step forward. I don't want to see us. Southern Lee, when it was built, everybody worked hard for it. Everybody was doing what they thought was right, but we got behind there. If we'd gone ahead and built the school in the beginning, we'd had the auditorium, large school. So I'm asking you to step forward and pass this and complete the school. When this is completed, the quarter cent sales tax is going to go to CCCC and Southern Lee, where there will be money to get their auditorium and other needs for other schools. So I'm just asking that y'all go forward and complete the job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brandon Partridge. Good afternoon. Hi.
I'm from Sanford. I live in a little house in a neighborhood called Woodbridge. I attend Lee County High School, and I guess I'd like to feel that my opinion, is a representation of many other students at the school, if not all. I'm young. I'm only at the age of 16, just turned 16. I don't know all the ins and outs of this project and the expenses and the taxes and where it's going to go, but one thing I do know is that I walk through the school sometimes and, I kind of feel bad that we're tearing down buildings or children are getting sick because, it's not up to par or we don't have high quality. And I just, I appreciate the opportunity you've given me to stand up here and express my opinion vocally, but I would like to ask if you just complete the project and go all the way, because what good is it to the students to not go all the way and have a good project? It's like a man dehydrating and only filling his glass up with water halfway. I mean, and I think Lee Senior has been thirsty for that water, for improvements in our school for years. It's been years, as we've discussed earlier, that it's, you know, we call our new gym new, and it was 1980. So, and another thing, I mean, we go to other schools and we're just, you know, we're marveled. We walk through the hallways and we love what we see and we're athletic teams, and the other students are like, well, you know, what's wrong? And, well, hey, we don't have this at our school. We have toilets overflown, you know, mildew. I mean, it's either, you know, really hot in this room, really cold in this room. You don't know what to expect. And like I said, I feel that this is the opinion of all students, and I would just appreciate it if you complete the project. And thank you.
Mr. Partridge, would you care to introduce the students with you?
No problem, sir. This is Taylor Batten, Denise Abel, Catherine. Is Catherine. I know this is John Grossfist, Dylan Westrick, and Sierra Ferguson, and we're all attendants of Lee County High.
Thank you all for being a part of this. Did any of you wish to comment? You did? Miss Batten, would you want to say something?
Our
If-
names are on the list. if
They,
you
they,
wanna-
they were just standing up in support.
We were
Right.
just supporting.
Okay, very good.
I think they want to speak to it. I think they want to speak to it.
Okay, you may. Each one? Well, could, let's see there.
Yeah, they are.
Just call them up, let.
Yeah, just, okay, you've got Brandon.
Oh, okay,
and then
got it,
John.
okay.
Yeah.
John Grossfuss.
Hello, my name is John Grossfist, and I live at 619 Palmer Drive. I'm just going to read my letter of support, if that's okay. My name is John Grossfist, and I'm a graduating senior at Lee County High School. I want to express my gratitude for your commitment to education in our county, and I hope it will remain this way for a long time. Even though I'll be leaving for college this fall, I'm very concerned with the ongoing situation with renovations at Lee Senior. I feel as if over the past few years this topic has transformed into a political debate and that the students are just being forgotten. I believe we are an outstanding group of kids. We improve on our standardized test scores every year, and we have an eagerness for learning. I can stand here and name multiple friends this year that have received major scholarships. We even have Denise Abel, who has got an almost completely full ride to NC State for the Centennial Scholarship that they've only awarded 6 times this year. Our teaching staff is caring and always supportive, and our school spirit is present. Our athletics are competitive, and our art programs are highly regarded in the area. I believe our students could truly hold their own in comparison with any other students from any school in the state. This is why I think it would be ill-advised to even consider not fully funding a complete construction and renovation project for our school. Our students deserve better. When I travel to other schools in our area with the marching band or the cross-country team, I'm almost always impressed by their facilities. I want future students of my school to be able to have a campus they are proud to show off. I want students from Wake County to come down here and be impressed and jealous of what they see. Students in Lee County should have the best facilities available to them at all costs. Please never fail to have faith in students at Lee County High School, because they have faith that they will get the school they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Students, accept my apology for being a little slow on the uptake today, but I think I've finally gotten it together. Dylan Westrick. Dylan, sorry.
Hi, my name is Dylan Westrick. I live at 811 Hayden Avenue here in Sanford. I am also a graduating senior, and I mean, our school has been needing these renovations for years. I mean, the problem when it came to Southern was just that we were overcrowded. But the problem then, there was also, our school is just old and it's outdated. I mean, it's been here for so long. Our parents have gone to this same school, some of these same buildings. I remember my freshman year, I went in our science building, one of the rooms got mold in it because of the age and the ceiling was leaking. And we had to go and find another room somehow fit so we could still have class. And now all they've done is they tore it down and built a pod. Now, I don't know if any of my fellow classmates have rooms and pods, but when you go in there, it's like a hospital room. I mean, it's not welcoming at all. And as students, we need these better facilities to be able to learn correctly. Like, once we have the better buildings built, we can go and put the money towards other things like getting better equipment for the classrooms. And now if we just put it off again, it's just going to come up later on. So go ahead and don't cut the corners and just please get this fast and just finish it all now so we can put it behind us. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Abel.
Hi, I am Denise Abel, and I live at 2641 Windsor Place here in Sanford. I'm a graduating senior as well, and I'm also the SGA president at Lee County High School. And I would like to first speak on behalf of the student body and thanking you for your commitment and how you have invested in our education, for all that you have done and I know will continue to do. And on that note, I also want to reiterate everything that they have said, but also bring out two more points that I thought of besides the actual physical condition of the building as to why I feel this project should be seen and seen through completely. With all the growth in Fort Bragg, I feel like Lee County is in a perfect position for people to commute. For me personally, I live here, but my dad commutes to Fort Bragg. And there's even talk that Fort Bragg will be expanding and building a new school. And if we want Lee County to grow, we need to make it appealing for those people and make it worth the commute for them. And I feel like we do that through the school system. And right now, as it stands, if this project is not seen through, I feel like people moving here will either A, take a look at our campus and decide that it's not worth the commute and decide to live elsewhere, or B, decide that they want to move into Southern Lee's district. And I feel like that would leave Lee Senior left behind in either scenario. Something else that I would like to point out is that I moved here 6 years ago, and something special and neat that I feel like Lee County has that I did not have where I used to live is that everyone knows everybody. You have teachers that have taught people's parents. You have second and third generations that have all gone to Lee Senior. And I feel like through the change of names from Sanford Central, Lee Senior, Lee County, change of names of the schools, the change of generations, one thing that's lacking is a change in a building. And with that being said, I firmly believe that Lee County High School should be renovated, not partially, but completely. I believe the administration, families, and students have waited for this for quite some time. And if this is really going to happen, I'm of the mind that if you're going to do something, you need to do it right and not halfway. And by doing it right, I mean that it should be completed fully and that you should not have to neglect or leave any areas out. I believe that when it comes down to it, there are always reasons not to do something. You can always postpone something, but I believe sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith, and I believe that it is our time to take that leap. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Sierra Ferguson.
Hi, my name is Sierra Ferguson, and I live on 905 Spring Lane. And I'd like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all about our school. We really need renovations. We really need it. When it rains, there's floods in front of the doors. All our shoes are all squishy. Just leaking going on. We always have a assembly at the end of the year in the new gym, and it is so hot. Like people are some people faint. It's that bad. It gets really hot in there. There's no air conditioning, and I feel like we deserve to have this school fixed. We go to other schools. I'm a cheerleader. We go to other schools. Their building is so nice. It's big. It's clean. You go to our school. It's not so nice. There's bathroom doors that don't close all the way. Like they've said before, the toilets that keep flushing and those that don't, and then stop up. So I just feel as if we had this school fixed, that it would inspire us as students to even do better. And we could brag about our school. Hey, I go to Lee Senior, and when people come here and visiting, they're like, oh, that's a really nice school. I think I would like to go there. I think it was by us as a community, as students, parents, faculty. So I would thank you so much if y'all would fix our school. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Utley.
I'm going to step in front of her real quick. I'm sorry, Catherine. I have to go sing the national anthem, so I'm in a rush. But I just wanted to first of all say thank you.
Would you give us your name?
Taylor Batten. I'm sorry. Taylor Batten. I live in Lee County. I just wanted to say thank you for considering this, and I wanted to make sure that you guys know that despite our conditions, we have outperformed and we continue to impress and we continue to meet our goals athletically and academically. And I feel like you guys know that we need it. You step foot on our campus and it is evident that we need repairs. We need it wholeheartedly. We need it fully done. We don't need anything halfway. You know what I mean? I feel like it's evident. And I feel like we have proven ourselves, our faculty and our staff and our students have proven that we are more than deserving of a facility that gives us the opportunities to succeed. And I have had the chance to meet people from many different schools, and I hear about the opportunities that they get to partake in and like things that they get to do in their chemistry classrooms that we can't do because we don't have the means necessary to complete those things. And I feel like I put my trust in you guys to make the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Catherine Utley.
My name is Catherine Utley, and I live at 350 Labrador Lane in Sanford. I'm a 9th grader at Lee Senior, and I would like to address the request for additional funding for renovations at my school. This project is long overdue, and once we start it, we need to fully complete it as it was designed. My fellow students and I, as well as the entire community, want a high school campus that we can be proud of. The students at Lee Senior deserve the best environment, resources, and technology available to help us prepare for a higher level of education. Lee County High School has been overlooked for many years in the past, but now it is our turn. I will be at Lee Senior for 3 more years and look forward to the learning environment that all other schools enjoy. In closing, I would like to thank you in advance for your careful consideration and helping us find the additional funding to fully complete our school that we are all very proud to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Linda Smith. Okay.
She stood.
You've declined.
I declined.
Okay, you stood a while ago.
Yes.
I saw that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I think the last speaker is Mr. Keith Clark.
Keith Clark, 212 Acre Drive, Sanford. Chairman, I will like to thank this board. I want to speak today as to encourage you to take the long view. There have been mistakes made in the past by taking the short way out. We built a new city hall, we built it outside of the downtown. And we wonder what happened to the downtown. This is one of those cases where not doing it and doing it right is a short-sighted decision. We need to build a school that's not a Taj Mahal, but one that produces at least the confidence that this county does show for education and the importance, so that we can attract to this community people with the intellectual capital to get the good jobs at Fort Bragg, who will be able to live in homes that can support their growth. We do not want to become the Johnston County of Bragg. And so those who fear property taxes should be for this project. And as a conservative, I would rather build the additional building at $67, I believe it is, per square foot, than at 120, well, it's significantly less. I forgot all about lost in the numbers even now. But It's better to buy at $100 a square foot than it is at $167 a square foot. That's the conservative thing to do. That's the business approach to do. And I encourage you to go forward, because what you have seen here today is a tea party. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I'd like to thank all of the speakers who have participated in this public hearing. We have heard what you have to say, and we appreciate it. I will now declare the public hearing completed. We now move to old business, and the question at hand is the consideration of an agreement and resolution amending previous documents which were adopted on April the 5th, 2010, for additional financing not to exceed $23 million for the Lee County High School renovation project. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we exceed or get.
Could you speak up, Mr. Kelly?
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and proceed with the funding up to the 23 million and the additional funding for the project.
All right. The motion has been made to approve the $23 million for the high school renovation project. And I would like to add something that has been requested and as an appropriate, not a change to that motion at all, but an understanding that will be on the record relative to the voting on this resolution. And it goes as follows: that we, the Board of Commissioners, will exercise our right as stewards of the taxpayers' money to reserve the capital funds deemed necessary and appropriate, such as annual lottery or current capital expense allocations to the Board of Education over the next 3 to 5 years, in order to maintain the county's fiscal soundness in meeting its many other CIP capital obligations, including reimbursement to Lee County's capital reserve funds, which may have been temporarily extended to this project. That is for the record, and the motion has been made by Mr. Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. I want to thank all those that came here today, and a couple of comments that were made. I kept hearing about toilets, and the bad toilets didn't happen overnight. That is something that should have been fixed a long time ago, and mold just doesn't happen because a building is old. There are conditions that cause mold. And, you know, we're not talking about not renovating this. That's been decided. But I think what's really at issue here is what is it going to take? I don't know if any of you have ever built a house, but when you build a house, at first you want granite countertops and you want the natural wood floors and all of that. Sometimes you just have to cut back. And I am very worried about the economy here. Talking to a neighbor of mine, works for one of the largest employers in Lee County. They're expecting another large layoff this fall. And I think we have no growth in our tax base. And I just think that I was nervous at the time with the economy the way it was, you know, putting taxpayers on the hook for almost $20 million. So I am opposed to increasing this. I'd like to see us be able to, you know, get by with what's already been approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Shook. Are there any other comments or questions?
I've got a question. We had talked about in our last meeting this lottery money. And is this your 3 to 5 or what is this? I want to know if we worked out any agreement on the lottery money. I'm certainly not in opposition to what we're discussing here, but I want to know about the money side of it because it's got to be paid for. So where are we on the lottery money?
Mr. Crumpton, would you care to?
Our last, on Monday, we made the proposal to take 2 years of the lottery money. And then we came in here and we discussed, you know, possibly needing it upward of 5. So, as of right now, it's still just a discussion. I don't think there's been any formal approval or non-approval by the Board of Education. And I think that's why this amendment to the motion was made to also cover current capital expense allocations, because we contribute our own funds to that, not lottery. So if we need upwards of the $350 a year for 5 years, it's well within our right to take that money, so, and do what we need to do to preserve our capital project fund, reserve fund, and I'm not, I think that's something the board needs to discuss on
Well, let me
what
add.
we need to do there.
All right. Let me add to that, Mr. Reeves. I think this goes kind of to the heart of your questions and comments over the last several weeks about your concern that we get this right and that we have the, as I understand it, the money through the lottery funds and or other means to make sure that this equation balances, to make sure that we do not have to raise taxes in order to fund this project, and that we can fund it on a 15-year basis, as has been worked out with our financial counsel and with the good guidance of Mr. Crumpton. And the 3 to 5 years is simply, this statement is not an amendment to the motion. It is simply an understanding that puts us on record to say to the school board that we will have to find, through lottery funds that come through this portal and other funds, a way to fund this project in addition to the bonds. And I think it's been pretty well added up and toted on a number of occasions, and it works out to something, the whole package, to about $22.5 or $22.6 million, and we've said not to exceed $23 million. This understanding, with your approval, simply says that, again, that we're on record to say that the Lee County Board of Commissioners will do what is necessary to use the funds that are made available to us and which are then ordinarily made available like lottery funds to the school for capital projects. We will use those funds as we have to use them in order to make this this equation balance at the end of the year. Now, over 3 to 5 years, we may see, and I believe we will see, substantial growth and improvement in our economy. And I hope so, at the very least. And I think that this gives us flexibility and the school system to do the things that we need to do as we work as partners, because we want this to come out right. We want it to come out right for the students, and because it's the right thing to do, in my opinion. But I hope that answers your question, and I did not expect that it would, but I hope it gets not even close. Well, that's
close. If I'm understanding where we are at this point, Commissioner Kelly has offered a motion to simply allow the funding to not to exceed $23 million without any indication of how and how we pay for this, is my understanding. Is that, are you offering something that I didn't see? I don't have anything in front of me, and I'm asking again. Tell me what the layout or the plan is, because as you just indicated, these are our partners. And I said in our meeting on Monday evening that, along with finance and the manager, 5 years is probably where we need to tie ourselves to. And if they are partners and they're willing to do that, then certainly I'm more comfortable with the proposed plan. But to allow it to move forward with us sitting here not knowing what to expect and where that money's going to come from if the economy doesn't work in a favorable manner, is pretty risky. So help me understand what it is we're supposed to be voting on and how it is going to be paid for.
Mr. Crumpton.
My motion was just up to the 23 million. I mean, I think what Richard has said here is that you're it's giving the board the flexibility to go up to the 5 years for $350,000. And, you know, if they understand that we know that we're not, you know, everything's on the table. They know that if the $350,000 on the table, I mean, they're not gonna be surprised when we have to take it.
Well, this is what this is about, not
It comes to
about
us anyway.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, we have figures. Mr. Crumpton, please, and you have the same figures that Mr. Oldham has, and I don't have them before me, but how that money breaks down. I think that's what Mr. Reeves is asking for, an articulation.
I remember that part. What I'm asking is that have we reached an agreement with the school board that for 5 years, as opposed to the proposed 2 years, is acceptable to them as well?
Well, we are proposing 3 to 5. It will be their decision.
The answer is that, this is how I look at this. They haven't met since Monday night. They don't meet until next Tuesday. We're the funding source. And I think that if you know, we're going to need the $350,000 a year for possibly up to 5 years, I think we need to say that and have that part of our financing plan. Now, you know, the discussions that I've had with Dr. Moss, he asks about the $207,000 that we're using right now for the pods. We have 2 more years of payments. What happens to that money when it's, you know, when we're paid off? Well, I would love to sit here and say in 2 years I have my crystal ball and say I'm not going to need that $207,000 for something else. But, you know, I think we can say we work in good faith to minimize, you know, that impact in years 3 and 4, if we can financially. I think I share Ms. Shook's concerns about the economy because you just don't know how fast things are going to come back. And you know, we do project some growth, and having flexibility and not just saying, hey, we're not going to need this money, I think is a mistake. I think we have to say right now there's a good chance we'll need it. We're exhausting our capital reserve fund to get this project jump-started. And not that that's a bad thing, but what it does for us is it pushes our ability to borrow funds out further. And you know, we have other projects that we need to fund, not just for us, but for the community college and the school system. And remind, you know, I think folks need to take a look that once we do this borrowing, I think I worked it out to like 92% of the debt outstanding for Lee County will be for K through 12. So in excess of, you know, $60,000+ debt outstanding will be for K-12. And there are some other people in line who we need to do some things for. And if we exhaust our capital reserve fund, our ability to jump in and help those people won't get done for 7 years, 6 to 7 years. Whereas if we use the 350, at least for 2 years, possibly longer, we can get back in the market in 4 years to borrow, I say significant money, 18 to 20 million. So you know what, you know, you all have gotten a copy of the CIP. You know what's out there. You know there are things that we need to do. That this cannot be our last project for 7 years.
Mr. Crumpton, there's no question about that. This agreement, this understanding here is to give us all of the flexibility that we need, that you need, to either do it 350 for 5 years, 350 for 2 years. You will have that flexibility, and I think that's the heart of what we're talking about here. And I think that this
I think that just to read it as this is our understanding, I think it has to be part of the motion.
Okay.
Action has to take place.
Would you wish to make it that amendment?
Well, before you do your amendment, let me say that if it's acceptable for 2 years, and tell me why it's not acceptable for 5 years right out the gate. Because all we're saying here is,
I understand.
If we need, well, okay.
What if you do give consideration to the pods? I mean, that's $207,000. I mean,
that the county will need perhaps for some other project.
Okay, but here again, this is without a crystal ball, and you could see that the economy comes roaring back in the next 2 years, 3 years, and sales tax revenue picks back up, and everything's going to do. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, I think
It's gonna
this
take-
is
if you wanna make it
simple
and
just make it 5
5 years for 300,000 if we need it.
If you need it. That's the kicker. If you need it.
But my position is, it ought to be in the motion, clearly stated, so that there's no misunderstanding down the road here.
Would you wish to make that amendment?
I so amend.
I accept.
The amendment has been made, it's been accepted by Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Crumpton,
Yes, ma'am.
has anything changed since Monday? Are we still looking at least about a $4.2 million budget shortfall next year?
That's not part of this discussion.
Well, it is, because this is debt we're taking on, and this,
School money, we're not talking
but
about.
this additional money is not all being
All right.
paid by sales tax revenues.
I
Is
think
it
that's-
is our debt, is our budget 4.2 million next year? I don't know what our deficit, if any, will be for next year. I mean, I've balanced the budget that we're getting ready to present to you next week. You
With
may not
borrowing this
like the way
extra
I
money.
balanced it.
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The question has been called, the motion has been made and amended. All in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
6-4, 1 against, and the motion passes. Not unanimously, 6-1. Thank you very much. Do I now hear a motion that this meeting be adjourned? It's been so moved. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.